Hi guys, thank you for joining the Andersons for another video here. I'm joined by Jessie. Jessie is someone I met on Instagram. She has this wonderful YouTube channel where she shares her experience here in Canada, being also a migrant from Jamaica. Yes, in case you don't know the beautiful island of Jamaica, that's where we are both from. But the difference is Jessie is all the way over there in the suburbs of Ontario, and I'm here in Alberta. So before we go any further, guys, I just want you guys to click on the subscription button. Please like, share, and just leave a comment. Let us know what you want to know. We are happy to use our experience to guide someone who's thinking of coming to Canada, not only to decide where they want to live in terms of a province, but also what to expect in terms of reality versus expectation. Also, I'm just gonna leave a link for Jessie's channel right down below here. Please go and go click on the subscription button, build up our channel as well, and give it some views as well. So let's get into it. Jessie, tell us about yourself, and please tell us about your YouTube channel as well.
Okay, so thank you for the introductory. So I am from Kingston, Jamaica, and I've been in Toronto about 5 years now. So I pretty much know a good handful of what you may need to know. So if you're interested in subscribing, you can always head over to Jessie Cat, and that is my handle.
Perfect. So we're in Jamaica. Are you from? We're
Kingston.
in, yeah, like you said Kingston, but remember, we are from Jamaica.
Oh,
You know Kingston is pretty
yeah.
not
Okay,
just
so
Kingston.
I lived in Ligony my entire life, pretty
Uptown
much.
girl. So pretty much an uptown girl.
Yeah. All right. Call it that. Call it that. That's fine. I don't mind. Yeah.
And like for anyone who knows me, I am from Spanish Town, not so uptown as Jesse here, but that's what you get. You get the dynamic in terms of the best of both worlds, I guess, right? And you said that you've been in
Yeah.
Canada for the past 5 years, Jesse. What brought you here?
Mhm. I definitely needed a change. The opportunity was there, so I just ran with it. I mean, if it is standing in front of you, it's always best to try it out. You may regret it if you don't. So I definitely took the opportunity to come to Canada.
Well, likewise for me, like we're both Jamaicans, and I can say that for every Jamaicans, we love our country. But for opportunity wise, most Jamaicans find that the best opportunities are actually outside of Jamaica, and not so much in Jamaica. And thank you so much for Canada for being so warm and welcoming to immigrants as ourselves, right? But why did you choose to go to Ontario? Is there a specific reason why you chose to go to Ontario in comparison to probably some other province?
Well, 100% because I have family here. So I figured for me, it'd be much easier for me to just stay where I have family here. I know that it's difficult for many other people because they might not have family, but it's definitely 100% because of family.
Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that because that's how I ended up in Alberta as well, because of
Mhm.
family predominantly. Because like when I tell persons that I'm from Jamaica and they are like, "Why are you in this part of Alberta, which is like so far and so cold and stuff?" And I'm like, "Just family." But after being here, it kind of grows on you and you become more climatized and accustomed to the cultural differences and stuff. So it's that's why I am here in Alberta. But in terms of being in Ontario because of family, you have been there for 5 years now. Have you thought of moving to any other province, perhaps?
No, maybe out of Toronto per se, but not necessarily out of Ontario.
Okay,
So
so
I would probably move an hour, 2 hours away, but not necessarily another province, if you understand.
yeah, I
Because
do.
Toronto is a huge city with so many moving parts. Sometimes you just need a break. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is most unique about Toronto? Because that's where you live. What would you say is like for somebody who's trying to make a comparison in terms of should I go to Toronto or should I go to Edmonton in Alberta? Should I go to Vancouver in British Columbia or somewhere else like that? What would you say, especially for Jamaicans, because that's who we're primarily speaking to right now? What would you say is unique to Toronto?
Well, I'm not sure about how other cities are, but for Toronto, it's literally almost, I've been to New York before, so it's almost like a second New York with the melting pot of people. You will meet people from all walks of life, all cities. Sometimes it's overwhelming at times, but there's so many people from different countries, and many times you have to understand where other people are coming from. You may offend people, people may offend you, the different cultures, the different religions, just everything. It's just a huge melting pot, and it's good at times, but bad at sometimes. So it's just how you take.
And I can answer my own question in terms of talking about in Alberta where I'm at a small town that's called Grand Prairie, which is just a small town because Alberta is made up mostly of small towns, apart from Edmonton and Calgary, which is like the this major hubs in Alberta. Pretty much 90% of the province is populated by small towns, and there's not that huge influx of cultural diversity as you'd find in Toronto. Like pretty much, it's you do have cultural diversity, but not on such a large scale. Like where we are at, like apart from like Canadians, you would have like minimal amount of Caribbean natives, and you'd have a large population of Indian and Filipinos population, which is predominantly the migrant population here in Grand Prairie and in Alberta is mostly consistent of Indians and Filipinos. And Caribbean ethnicity has so much of like a lower scale. So because of that, you don't get that feeling of connectivity with Jamaica per se. Like I was watching one of your videos and you said that when you just got to Canada, you were trying to figure out, am I in Canada or am I still in Jamaica? you'll
Yeah.
never you'll never ever get that here in Alberta because like there's such a cultural difference in terms of like Jamaicans are like so far and few in between. But is that something good you'd say in terms of
Okay, well, it's good and bad. The good thing about it is there are Jamaican areas. So if it is that you want to get away from the Jamaicans, you can go somewhere else.
okay.
So like the city that I live in now, there's not that many Jamaicans. We are spread across. But when I just moved, the city I was in, it was a lot of Jamaicans. The time I moved to the city I was in, I didn't know where I was going and why I was going there, but I noticed a huge difference. So I like where I live because I can separate myself, but I can also be with my people at the same time. So it's good for me. So
So
it's not a bad thing.
I get it. What about food though? Can you get like authentic Jamaican food? Can you like go across the street and get two tasty patty, or you can probably get like authentic Jamaican jerk chicken or something of that
Yeah.
sort where you are at?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, they're all about.
so pretty much you know really left Jamaica then, pretty much in terms of like yeah, you're in a new country, but you can still find that niche.
Okay, let me tell you, it's all about the authenticity, right? So if I want Jamaican patty right now, I can easily go across the street. But is it a Jamaican restaurant? So you have to think about that part. So there is a patty shop that just opened across the street. And when I got there, it was just pure Asian. And so I was just like, all right, no. But you can find authentic foods. You have to just look for it. Okay, this
well,
is where I'm gonna.
Well, that is totally different to where I am at because like I went into like superstore to buy like some patties that they have in there and like you probably find carrot in a patty for example, because even though they say it's Jamaican patty, it's nothing compared to Jamaican patty. So,
Yeah.
uh, what I would think if somebody wants to like move to the province of Alberta, which is like so far up north, they would have to take into consideration that the culture that we're used to in terms of food, and you guys have Caribana and all those stuff in Toronto. Nothing like that exists there. Absolutely nothing like that. So it's almost trying to find a new culture, pretty much accepting a new culture in terms of finding new things to do and new things to eat. In terms of potatoes are like so large here, like we literally live like Alberta is almost like a farm province. So there's a lot of small towns, as I said, because if it's
Yeah.
just an oil province. So Like literally, potatoes are like you can eat mashed potato, baked potato, ash browns, wedges, potato chips. Pretty much that's all you're gonna have to eat for most of the part. So
But then that's when you go into restaurants and things like that. So you have to be the one to buy what you like and make it if you can find it.
if you can find it, and that's the thing, like it's so scarce that if you go into one of those African stores and you see like some green bananas, whether or not you have money, you better buy it because you're not gonna see those green
Yeah.
bananas until probably another 6 months or another 3 months, right? And then that would be your only good Jamaican meal per se. But in terms of Toronto,
Well, there's something that is important to note though. If it is that you're going into a Jamaican supermarket, everything in there is going to be expensive. Everything.
okay,
So it's up to you to decide if you want to purchase the foods that are in the Jamaican supermarkets.
I got
So
it.
they're there. They're just really expensive.
What about jobs
And I
though?
know it has to do with the jobs.
Yeah, I'm saying, what about like apart from the food, what about jobs? What is the job market like in Ontario? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We really truly appreciate you guys taking the time out here to watch one of our videos. Please, we're just taking a minute here to remind you guys just to go and hit that subscription button right down below. It's very important, guys. It helps us out a lot and we really appreciate it. Go and hit that like button as well, and please leave a comment.
It's pretty much the same anywhere. It's just the competition because there's so many people. It's a bit harder to get the jobs, especially probably the job that you want. But I mean, they're here. I had a friend who moved up about a year or so ago, and the job that she got was a Jamaican owner. Everyone in there was Jamaican, but that's like she is a separate case.
Yeah.
But for jobs, it's just job hunting. It's difficult, whether you like it or not. It's just
Like that's the difference, and I'd say that's probably one of the main difference why persons choose to live this far, because the job market is not as competitive. Well, obviously now with
mhm.
COVID and all sort of stuff that's happening in terms of like businesses are closing and stuff, obviously it's a lot harder now. But like all things being considered, all things being well, jobs here in Alberta is much easier to get than in probably the province of Ontario. Like there's way less people here in Alberta, so there's less competition. So, and
That's why when they want people to move to Canada, they're trying to get people to move in other provinces other than Ontario because the jobs are out there. It's just everybody just seems to want to go to Ontario. I mean, it's more comfort because you know that you're going to see people that you know, but the jobs are all over Canada, far and
yes,
wide.
and that is why one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video as well, so we can give people perspective in terms of making a decision of where to go. Like there's pros and there's cons in living in any province, and of course it all depends on your individual work ethic and your individual determination and your individual drive to succeed. But there are things that are like significantly different in provinces. Like in Ontario, Jesse, you said that okay, you can have that Jamaican community that you can identify with. You can get that job. You can get that lifestyle. However, there's so much more competition. Whilst in a province like Alberta, you can't get that Jamaican community that you are accustomed to. You probably don't have much friends, but you job a lot more easier. So that's definitely something to take into consideration. What would you say is unique to Toronto, Ontario? Like each province have that one unique factor. What would you say is unique to Toronto or Ontario?
um, like you in terms of what?
Like in terms of Alberta, I have fell in love with Alberta, and even though I love what Toronto represents and Ontario represents in terms of that big city, fast life kind of lifestyle, and Alberta is more of a agricultural province, which focuses on oil and it's more rustic in terms of it's more low key and reserved. More persons here are not very extrovertious in terms of they do go out, but they are more of a own body. You might be inside living in an apartment and you never see your neighbor. Uh, stuff like that. Like everyone is more reserved and within themselves. So to make friends and stuff, it's a little bit harder here. So in terms of like just general comparison of like the daily lifestyle of what it is like, what would you say that is like in Ontario?
Well, it's definitely, well, Toronto, because I can only speak for Toronto, but it's
Sure.
definitely, you get the city life. You can live downtown where you don't have to drive. You can always just walk to where you want to go. Or you can live the outskirts of downtown, but it's still a huge hustle and bustle. Toronto is pretty much a tourism sector as well. So you always see people traveling and staying in Toronto, and you always can tell who's visiting.
Yeah.
Another good feature is that they do a lot of movies down here. So you just randomly be walking and see a police car from New York, NYPD, and you're just like, oh, there's a
Oh.
movie going on somewhere around the place. You just don't know where, but you know there's a movie being shot here. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You
Yeah.
can live the city life, but you can also live the suburban life.
Okay, so currently it literally snowed this week where I'm at, and the temperature is just getting into the positives. It's +1 today. Last week it was like -5, -8, -10, uh, and that's like in spring weather, right? What is it like in Toronto where you're from? What is the weather like usually? Is it harsh winters and hot summer days?
The summers are ridiculously hot. It's blazing hot here. Lots of people just see Canada and think of an ice box, but in the summer, you want to be inside where there's some sort of AC or something going on. No, I think 2 days ago it was 18 degrees. Today it's probably like 5 degrees. So right now, because it's spring, the weather is fluctuating.
Hmm.
So we're getting there. But the winters, since I've been here, I've been told that I have not experienced a winter as yet. So the winters here has been manageable for us. The winters have been, well, some has been long, others have been short, but this winter that just passed was pretty short.
Hmm.
So
What's the since being in Toronto, what's the coolest it has gotten that you can remember?
coldest, there was one day, I don't remember how cold it was, but it was extremely cold. I took my hand out the glove for a second and I got frostbite. So,
Okay,
but
like
I don't remember temperature. I think it was about negative, I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember,
okay,
but
that's
it
all
was a
good.
few years ago.
That's all good. And I wanted to ask that question because here in Alberta, I just want everyone to know that if you're gonna be packing up and moving to Alberta, you have to pack that Eskimo suit because it gets as cold as -50, -55, and probably if you're unlucky, goes all the way up to -60. And every winter, sorry, you get at least 1 week of extreme cold sprouts when every single day is below -45. And that's like
You just
extremely cold.
reminded me.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
just
sorry.
reminded. I think that one day was negative 40, but that was just that one day. It's never
Yeah,
happened again.
yeah, that's the
So
thing. That's the
our
difference.
coldest weather, I think, is like normally negative 20.
-20, yeah. That's why I wanted to point that out because in Toronto it's much warmer than in Alberta. Because when if Albertans move to Toronto in -20, I can guarantee you that they're probably wearing shorts. They're probably kind of consider t-shirt weather because in Alberta it gets so cold. Like it literally gets so cold that you don't even remember that you're cold. You throw a hot pot of water up in here and it turns vapor before it leaves the pot. It gets that cold and stuff. So he said nothing like that in Toronto.
Mm-mm.
Oh my god. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I'm forgetting to ask because of course we're just trying to make comparisons so that persons can probably make a decision. What about acceptance? Was it like a general what being like when you just got to Toronto, right? Apart from your Jamaican community and your family, did you find that you blended it well with the society, or was the transition for you?
Yeah, blended in well. I mean, like I said, everyone is used to having people here, so it's just another person walking down the street.
Okay, But you don't go into stores and people look at you funny, or you go to work and everyone looking at you funny, or anything like that.
No, no one cares.
Okay,
Literally, no one cares.
so you don't experience any form of, I'd say probably racism or prejudice or discrimination or anything like that to your knowledge.
No, I don't remember experiencing any of
Okay, like here in Alberta, I'm not gonna say that racism is a problem or discrimination is a problem, because like Alberta is a happy province, but you do have that occasional time when you might go into a co-op, or not to call any place, or where you go into a store, and like because it's so far, you hardly find black people. Like black people are so far and few in between, so that when a black person see another black person, they'll be like, "Oh, there's another black person," kind of a thing. So it's almost like when you go into a store, you're the only black person there. Also, and that's something that I think people have to take into consideration. If you are of color or of different ethnicity, you are going to be a minority. And it's not like Toronto, that is almost like populated with every single ethnic race that you can think about in large proportion. When you're moving to a province like Alberta, you are moving pretty much somewhere where you will be a minority. So when you are at work, you are probably the only black person in the entire workplace. When you go into a supermarket, go into Walmart, probably there's only two black person in the entire Walmart, and stuff like that. So you have to take that into consideration. So not to say that you are made to feel like you're a minority, because obviously it's not like anyone is running you down with stones or anything like that to say, okay, then let's get rid of that black person. But you're not you're not the majority, in other words. And we are from a country where we are the majority, so that's something that I think is important to mention, because it often gets a lot of person by shock. Like they go into a store, and like if they're probably wondering, why is everyone looking at me, or why is that guy trying to follow me around, or stuff like that. So I think that's important as well. But in Toronto, that you're saying that almost never happens.
Okay, well, let me explain further because you gave some examples. So if I'm in a supermarket or a mall, you would not notice that. However, in the workplace, it might be a bit different. So, for example, for me, the first place I worked, I was the only Black person there. It was in a Filipino run company. The second place that I worked, I was again the only Black person there, and it was pretty much the predominantly white people. And the third place that I'm working now is a major mixture. So it really depends on where you work and you know where you land, you're able to get a job. But it depends. But if a normal store or supermarket, you won't necessarily feel the racism or anything like that.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. So you are pretty much saying that it depends on where you land. It pretty
Yeah,
much
you're
depends on
still
where
a
you land.
minority.
Yeah.
You're still a minority, but it situation could be different.
Okay. Well, I think I only have a few more questions here, Jesse, because it is Good Friday, and of course you must want to go out and have some fun today or something like that. But what is the
Don't
public
worry, I'm not down.
Oh yeah, how is that going?
Our lockdown started today. We're on a month lockdown, so the entire April.
So that means that you guys are
So
just inside
we're
and can't go
supposed to be
anywhere?
at home. We're supposed to, but of course, there's a lot of Jamaicans, so very unrelated.
Oh my God.
So there will be some home parties going on that not supposed to be going on, but I won't be at any.
And I'd probably say that's also probably one of the noticeable differences as well between the provinces. Like Alberta is an extremely disciplined province. Like they'll probably curse the government and say, "Oh man, this makes no sense" or whatever. But whatever the government says,
Yeah.
they're gonna be adhering to it. If the government says 6 feet, you better not go 3 feet towards somebody. They're gonna be like, "Hey man, you're 3 feet closer than you are supposed to be." So like they're extremely disciplined. But I really hope that you're keeping safe and that you and your family are protecting yourself, because it's like so crazy what is happening in Ontario. And I'm really surprised that you guys are going back into a lockdown, because you guys probably had like a few lockdowns already in the past.
Well, technically, we never came out of lockdown, but they just put the terms differently, so it doesn't look like it's different. But yeah, we have a handful of unruly people over here. But
And
it's a, like I said, it's a major city, so it's hard to control
it
it.
is so funny that you guys are in lockdown and persons here in Grand Prairie is cursing the government and be like, what are you closing the bars at 11 p.m. for? The bar should be open until 2 a.m. So that is the issue. The
And
issue
our
here.
bars are not open at all.
Oh man. Okay, so I know you mentioned.
Well, the Jamaican bars are open, trust me. You just have to enter through the back,
Oh, through the
but
back
they're
and
open.
oh man, that's crazy. It's some small part of me wish that we had some of that here, but I guess that's just the unruly nature of who we are as a people, right?
Mhm,
I know you mentioned
mhm.
that if you live in downtown Toronto, you don't have to drive, right? What is the public
No, it's
transportation
better
system
that you
like?
don't because it'll be too much. It's gonna be too hard.
Oh man, too congested.
Hmm.
So what is the
So if
public
you're
transportation system
downtown,
like?
it's either you ride your bicycle, you use the subway, or you use the tram cards, or buses,
Okay,
or walk,
okay. Well,
or just walk underground.
okay. Well, that's
Because
that,
everything underground is connected, so you don't necessarily have to go above ground.
and I can say that we have
All the
nothing like that
major
here.
buildings that you see in Toronto, all
Yeah.
those high buildings are all connected underground.
Wow. I wish I can probably
Hmm.
find a clip it of that and snip it in right in this video so persons can see exactly what that is like. Especially because in Alberta here, well, apart from the big cities like Calgary and Edmonton, we don't have nothing like that. When I just got
Hmm.
to Grand Prairie and I had to take the bus, when you go into the bus, it's only you and probably two other persons. Everyone drives. Everyone drives.
Yeah.
And if it is that you are not driving and you are walking on the street, you are the only one walking. The pub the
Hmm.
like because we are a small town here in Grand Prairie and many other small towns in Alberta, there's no subway. There's absolutely no subway. There's only public bus and private cabs, and the public bus stop runs at 10 p.m. So
Oh, really?
if you're going up anytime after 10 and before 5, you have to call a cab, which is not a public cab, which is a private cab, which is so super expensive.
Okay.
So I think
Well,
like
uh, our subways end at 2 a.m. So if you're out and clubs
mhm.
close at 2 a.m. or no, drinks stop at 2 a.m. So if it is that you're out later, then you'd have to get like an Uber or something.
Oh, but that's still good because 2 a.m. is still a far away from 10 p.m. Because like a lot of persons leave work at 11 p.m. and then they have to just drive home. And I'm not even gonna talk about bicycle because it's so freaking cold. You're only gonna ride a bicycle like for 2 weeks out of the entire year, and then every time every it's just retired until next year 2 weeks. Like here where we are, you literally get 9 months of winter. I know that it's spring, summer, fall, and whatever, but the thing is, it's cold constantly, and then you probably get 2 weeks if you're lucky when where the weather is like summer weather. And I'm telling you
Mhm.
that person get turned up throughout that time. Like you see all the shorts roll out and all the bikini roll out and all of these things for that 2 weeks, and then back into coat and back into your muff, your mittens, and until next year 2 weeks. So and that's how it is, right?
Oh,
So that's a clear picture of what it is
have
like.
the 4 seasons.
That's a clear picture of what it is like here. But I know I asked you at the beginning if you'd ever move from Ontario. You said no, but you might move from Toronto. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, just house price. I don't think I'll be able to ever in the near future buy a house here in Toronto. They're so expensive. So outskirts cities are more,
Okay.
I guess, more accessible,
What
easier.
are what is rent like usually in Toronto? Like what do you pay for rent? Like our usual standard 2 bedroom, just standard unit. What would the rent look like usually?
Well, it depends on where you're living because it could be either a condo or a house or a basement apartment. The prices are pretty different. If it's a house, it's probably around 2,500. If it's an apartment, it's probably around 1,400, and a basement apartment probably around the same.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. That sounds pretty standard. What about crime?
But,
What about crime? Do you guys have a lot of crime in Toronto? I'm glad to see you guys still here enjoying this video. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Leave a like and leave a comment. Keep watching, guys. The Andersons.
Of course. I mean, the unruly people. But it's in specific areas. So, and unfortunately, the specific areas are the Jamaican areas.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So is it like the major crimes, like probably what happened in Jamaica, like murder, rape, and stuff like that?
It's mainly petty crimes. It's not that much murders,
Okay.
really.
Well, it's bad, but
Petty
it's still
crimes. You
bad.
would have
Yeah.
murders, but the murders would happen with other races as well, but not as bad as the petty crimes. You may hear from time to time that people heard some gunshots here and there, but not really.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you might lose a bicycle, or you might lose somebody breaking your house, and just it's still bad, but it's still good in terms of it's not major crime. Like here where we are
Or
at,
someone just walking down the road and you get robbed or something like that.
okay, like where we are at, it's relatively not relatively safe. It's safe. It's very safe. You can walk any hours. You don't have to fear about being robbed or anything like that. But they did open a murder investigation into a cow the other day. Someone killed a cow, and they opened an investigation
Wow.
into it. So that just shows you the level of crime here. You do get that occasional break in, which is so far and few in between. I think in terms of deaths and stuff, a lot of persons here die mostly by overdose. There's like a huge drug problem here. There's a lot of drug addicts and stuff. So because of that, you have a lot of overdose death and also suicide death because, as I told you, it's so cold and it's so dark and you don't have much friends. So a lot of persons are depressed and anxiety and all of those stuff. But outside of that, it's all safe. I mean, what's the minimum wage in Ontario?
I think it's $50.
$15?
Hmm.
Okay, give and take, give and take. Okay, I got it. So here in Grand Prairie where we're at, I think it's easier to own a home here. Like standardly, and many persons move to this province because like to own a house is it's way easier than in other provinces. Rent is pretty standard. Like a standard apartment is roughly $1,200 per month, and that usually give and take probably a little bit more, probably a little bit less, but it usually comes with eat and it usually comes with water. So $1,200 cover eat and gas and water. And of course, you know, all units in Canada, are probably most parts of Canada, when you rent an apartment, you get the basic amenities like your fridge, your stove, probably a microwave and a dishwasher and a washer and a dryer kind of a thing. So that's pretty much standard, and that also comes with your rent, most parts from give and take. And like power is super expensive in Alberta because it's so cold, so it takes a lot of power to power your eat, power your everything. So like a lot of persons, especially persons who own homes, their power bill is usually like $300 a month, $250 a month if you're lucky. But if you live in an apartment and it's just you and probably your family or yourself, you're looking at roughly $100 or under, give and take a month. So is
Well,
that
that's
the
pretty
same?
same here.
Okay. So you guys pretty much is standard, and the minimum wage in Alberta is I think it's $13, but I think it's a general acceptable principle that most employers pay $15 as a minimum uh, wage per hour and thing. And you know what? Alberta is one of the richest provinces. So that's why I would tell persons to move to Alberta in spite of the weather, which is a major drawback. I think if we're talking about moving to Alberta, there's tons and tons of opportunities in terms of jobs, in terms of you can really live a good lifestyle. You can own a home within probably 2 years or 3 years, and there's just endless potential, right? That's why I would say move to Alberta. Why would you say move to Ontario?
Why? Just based on some comfort. And if you like to see people, this is the place to be. There's a lot of outdoor activities that happen throughout the year, winter, summer, spring, fall. There's always something to do. There's always people to see. There's always it's just always a lively city. Of course, last year, we were all at home, but pretty much there's always stuff. You're never inside. You're
Yeah.
never inside. So if it is that you like the city life, then this is definitely a place to be.
Okay, perfect. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't move to Alberta. Don't move to Alberta if you are looking to socialize and have that fast-paced lifestyle that you are probably accustomed to being a Jamaican. If you like your roast breadfruit and your saltfish and as a Sunday morning breakfast, your callaloo and stuff like that, unless you don't mind eating canned callaloo, you get nothing like that. The weather is extremely cold, and if I'm being very, very honest, you are pretty much gonna be, unless you're intrinsically motivated, you're gonna be depressed a lot because just because of the weather, and you hardly get sunshine. You have days where the sun goes down at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and doesn't come up back until probably 9:30, 10 the next morning. And so there's limited sunshine on some days, so you probably get depressed and stuff, and because you don't have a lot of persons to talk to. Why shouldn't somebody move to Toronto?
It's extremely
I didn't catch that.
ex- extremely expensive.
Oh man, extremely expensive. Yeah,
Hmm.
I hear that on a
So you
certain.
have to be ready to spend some money. If you're not making any money, I try to figure out how to get some money. I don't know.
Okay,
Expensive.
perfect. And I think I only have one last question here for you, Jesse. What do you miss most about Jamaica?
Pretty much everything. I mean, every time I go back to Jamaica, it's always bittersweet because you don't want to leave. The food, the people, always having the sunlight, all of that. But you know, one of those things.
Okay, for me, it's definitely the food, especially probably roast breadfruit and pear, because by the time the pear them reach for me, that beer water, them and stuff. So I haven't had like a good
Mhm.
Jamaican pear in like almost the better part of 2 years. And the food, and definitely just the long greenery road trips that we take all around the country all the time just to go to a river somewhere in deep rural. Just that link up with friends, that vibe with friends that you can just pull out on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and just that general weekend feeling. It's Friday and work is done, and then you can go have a piece of jerk chicken and just kick back
Mhm.
until Monday morning. Here, of course, you know that we don't know when is weekend. Oftentimes, that weekend here is so different. Like there's no winding down period. Like, okay, then let's recharge for Monday morning. You don't get that. It's just constant work, 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 work. So that's what I miss most. Thank you so much, Jesse, for taking time out of your Good Friday to talk to the Andersons today. Is there anything else you'd like to
I
say
have
in
a
closing?
question.
Sure.
How are your beaches?
In Alberta, you guys have beaches in Toronto. What? You guys have beaches
Well, we
in Toronto?
definitely do have beaches. I mean, nothing like Jamaica, but we do have beaches. If I want to go to a beach, I'd probably have to drive about 2 hours away, but it's still, it still reminds you about Jamaica. But other
I
than
didn't
that,
even
yeah,
know that.
we have,
Alberta,
and
Alberta.
I don't think they're beaches. They're more lakes, but they look like a
Mhm.
beach. How about that?
Yeah, I got it. There's
Because
no
they
lake
have
in
the
Alberta
sand and
either.
they have all that.
There's no that large body of water that you're talking about. There is lakes here, but that large body that you're thinking about with sun, and you can chill out and you can bring an umbrella and sit under the sun and have a strawberry daiquiri. Get that out your head.
Well, I don't know about the strawberry daiquiri part, but the beach and the umbrella, yeah. So we have Lake Ontario that splits Toronto from New York. So you
Okay.
have the beaches along that coastline, and
Hmm.
then there is another lake somewhere that has the better beaches that we have to go to. But
Oh man, I didn't even know that you guys had like beaches there and stuff. So
yeah, every summer.
you pretty much get like that experience as well. But like for us,
Hmm.
we don't get anything like that. Okay, so as I was saying though, Jesse, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it. And of course, you made me almost want to move to Toronto. Uh, it just sounds so beautiful in my head in terms of you can get that authentic life, Jamaican cultural lifestyle that we're missing, whilst also getting the same opportunities in terms of jobs and opportunities and stuff like that. So Big up yourself. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate it. Again, guys, I'm going to drop the link for Jesse's channel, Jessie Cat, Khat. Did I spell it right?
Katt.
Jessica, and
Yeah.
she has some awesome videos on her channel, as I said, guys, where she definitely give you guys like wonderful tips about living in Canada, her experience in coming to Canada, and what it is like as well. So go and go check it out. Leave a subscribe, leave a like, and definitely leave a comment. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Good Friday. Over and out.